So Tales of Arise released about a week ago, and I have over 100 hours on this game now. I beat it a while ago, but I was really trying to see everything before I put this review together. And I will let you know, there will be mostly positives in this review, but I am definitely going to go into the negatives and explain why it's not a perfect game. But I would like to give you the short version if you want it. I adored this game, and I thought it was a great evolution from the previous Tales games. So I'm going to go into all the different categories, from combat to story to music to environment to post-game side quests, everything you want to know. I'm going to give you the combat mechanics, the characters, pretty much everything you're going to want to know. And then I'm going to also explain why this game isn't as perfect as some people are saying it is. So let's start with the story and characters, the main draw of Tales games. Because me personally, with the old games, I personally didn't like the combat. That's just me. I knew there was combat potential, there was combo potential and everything, but it wasn't for me. So I played Tales games for the story and characters. That was my main draw. And I'm happy to say, at least in my opinion, and it seems like many of others, I adored this story and its cast. The cast of characters are believable, they're funny, they're cool without being cringe. Like, Alphen will shout some things and they would normally be cringe, but they're so cool in this game. And I want to give it up to the voice actors as well for the English dub. I'm pretty sure the Japanese original voices are also fantastic, but I personally like dub, and I really like it when they go all out. And the team went all out. Ray Chase as Alphen. Wow, man. He was super cool. Everyone else in the entire cast was amazing as well. Some better than others. Not everyone was super interesting, but Alphen and Xion, I want to give a shout out to. Their interactions were just beautiful. They had me laughing, they had me smiling like a dork on my chair. It was so fun watching the journey between Alphen and Xion and how their personalities changed over the course of the game. Now we're going to get into a lot of people's main draw to most video games is the gameplay. Let's talk about the combat. The combat, I love it. And I did not like any of the other Tales games combat ever. Like, I come from series like Kingdom Hearts, Dark Souls, things like that where it's really responsive, and I might get flack for this, but just with the old Tales engine and stuff like that, I just didn't like it. It felt clunky. This game is Tales combat, but evolved. They've taken some great things from other games that just make it really nice, like the perfect dodging and evading into counterattack. It's just beautiful. This game, you want to figure out how to stagger your enemy, right? Or knock them down. But most enemies, you're going to try to combo, just like old Tales games. And you want to get them into a stagger, which you can do by perfect dodging them and then attacking, counterattacking them, and it takes them right into a stagger. And then you start going into your combos. Or bosses have weak points where you hit them and knocks them down, and then you just wail out on them. And the way you do that is you have arts, which are just a bunch of different abilities that you bind to your different buttons. And instead of your R1 attack, your main combo, you could do a bunch of these arts, which chain them together and cause a nice flow. And you can experiment with them, and it's super deep, and it's great. And then now there's a new thing called CP, which is your health points. And you could use that throughout your whole team to heal for all your cure arts, all your resurrections, to revive people. And you have to manage it, and I love it because having to manage it brings a lot of stakes to the table, which I didn't feel like the old games had. And yeah, man, I adored the combat. You're going to get a lot of depth, and it's really snappy and fun. Now let's talk about the music and atmosphere. This is important to me in JRPGs, very important. I will listen to these soundtracks in my car, like once these games end. I will look forward to the soundtrack more than the combat sometimes. I'm a little crazy. But I'm happy to say this game delivered. Not one of the best soundtracks I ever heard in my life, but there were some songs that had goosebumps throughout my entire body. Definitely. There were some OCTs where during the fight I paused it because it was so awesome and I was just listening to the song. So music definitely gets an A from me. Some songs were forgettable, and you know, what really amazes me is when a game is able to pull off every song being amazing. And I don't think that happened here, but there are some bangers for sure, some beautiful tracks. And then the atmosphere is, everyone could just see from 5 seconds of gameplay how beautiful the atmosphere is in this game. And while you're looking at the beautiful atmosphere, there's actually fun side quests to do and mini games. Like, I hate side quests, dude, but they're fun in this game, mostly because they send you off to fight a bunch of different bosses. And these bosses actually have variety. Like, the way they look, even if they're like kind of a reskin, the fight is different. And then usually it's voiced cutscenes for these side quests, and they give you good rewards. Dude, I did all the side quests before I even went for the platinum. Like, I just enjoyed it. And then the fishing minigame has too much depth for my own good. It is so awesome, the fishing minigame. You'll be there for hours trying to catch all the fish, see what bait catches what. The minigame itself is very fun and bases it off reflexes. Super cool, man. The post-game entails are usually always good throughout the series, and this game is no different. You're gonna have lots of dungeons and bosses after you beat the main story, and it doesn't get old. Like, I have over 100 hours on this game, and I want to play more. I don't know if I can New Game Plus it, but there's a lot I still want to do. There's owls you can go around and collect. I forgot even to mention the owls. Just, there's so many things to do to keep track of while you're doing the main story, which I think is very good, because sometimes the side quests are just so irrelevant, and it's not like these side quests, you know, affect the main story and they're just they're genius, but they're fun, and they made me want to do them, so it's good for me. Now let's go into the negatives. I know you guys are probably sick of me praising the game. There's only a couple, though, to be honest. One, and my biggest gripe, is the sound mixing in this game is awful. Like, when you are fighting and you even edit the sound settings so the voices and arts are lowered, you can't hear any of the music when you're fighting. It's a joke. Everyone's shouting their arts, and when you lower the voice volume, the stupid game lowers the music volume in combat to match the voice volume. It's really bad. I hate it. When you're in the overworld, you can hear everything perfect, but once you get in the combat, the sound mixing is just god-awful. Another thing is I enjoyed the first half significantly more than the second half. I feel like the second half of the story did fall off a little bit. So I'm not going to go into any spoilers, but I did enjoy the first half of the story more than the second half. And towards the end, the bosses got a little repetitive, in my opinion, whereas the first half, there was plenty of boss variety. So the game's not perfect by any means, and some people will definitely prefer the old Tales over this game, but in my opinion, the new engine and the evolutions this game made, this is my favorite Tales game I've ever played. I've played around 7 Tales games, from Exilia to Berseria to Tales of Hearts to Tales of Graces. This game is my favorite. I adored it. I'm gonna go be finding every merch I could possibly find of Alphen and Xion, and I couldn't give this game anything but a 9 out of 10. I want to give it a 10 out of 10 because I love it, but it has flaws, so I can't. But get this game if you like JRPGs, like, no doubt. Like, if you come up to me and say, hey, should I get this? I'm gonna look at you and say, why don't you have it already?